be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Tim, how are you?
I'm doing good, Eric. How are you?
I'm awesome and very, very excited for this. You're taking on Hector Lombard. A lot of people are talking about him, and there's a lot of buzz with him moving over from Bellator. You seem to be flying a little bit under the radar. Is that a place that you like to be, or do you kind of wish the spotlight was a little bit more on you?
I actually like being under the radar. That's sort of how it's been my last few fights, and people have sort of been counting me out. But I like being the underdog because it's always fun to get in the cage and surprise everybody on fight night.
Which surprises me because you dropped to middleweight and you absolutely destroy Kendall Grove. That Yushin Okami fight was spectacular. What did you learn out of that Okami fight that's going to help you as you go in against another guy who you're, like I said, highly underrated against?
I think the biggest thing I took from the Yushin fight was the fact that if I'm still standing and still able to move forward, I'm still in the fight. So unless I'm knocked out or have a broken leg, and even then I think I still could make some sort of comeback.
Now, we talked to Hector earlier in the week, and he has been doing nothing but, talking about himself, and for some odd reason, talking about wanting to fight Mark Munoz. Why do you think it is that he doesn't want to go, if he beats you, which I'm not sure he's going to beat you, but if he beats you, why wouldn't he want to go against Anderson Silva?
Honestly, I don't think he's ready for Anderson, and he probably knows it. But also, Hector's the type of guy that just loves a fight, and, Mark Munoz said some things that may have upset him, and that's probably why he's on Hector's hit list now. So it doesn't surprise me that he's wanting that fight, but at the same time, a little confused because there's been talk of potentially Dana giving him a title shot if he has an impressive first showing over here. So I guess the guy just wants to beat people up.
And I bring it up in no way to be disrespectful to you, but to point out that Mark Munoz, leading up to that Weidman fight, did nothing but not talk about Chris Weidman, and look what happened to him. He's essentially he's out of the running for the title shot. And so when Lombard's running around talking about a guy who isn't even in contention for a title shot against a guy like yourself who, like I said, if you haven't watched that Okami fight, go watch this before UFC 149 because you're going to see a guy Tim, you just absolutely kept going, and then in that third round turned it on and finished that fight. And if I'm Hector Lombard, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have to kill this guy in the ring, and if I don't, I'm probably going to lose.
Well, that's, I'm kind of hoping that he's underestimating me and thinking he's going to get in there and just walk through me because, personally, I think Okami's a tougher fight than Hector is. So I think Hector's in for a very rude awakening on Saturday night.
And talk about that. Can you put in words, and not very many people can you put in words the difference between, let's say, a Strikeforce and a Bellator to the UFC? Like, what is the difference in talent? Because we're seeing a lot of guys come over, and they just absolutely cannot hang with you guys.
We're just better athletes over here. Obviously there's a lot of talent elsewhere, but this is where the cream of the crop is. And we have to prove it every time we step into the cage. Every time we step into the cage in the UFC, we're fighting somebody tough. And, just training for these fights, it's a whole nother level. You have to take your mind to a whole nother level to prepare for these things. You have to be more focused. And it's just a different experience, and that's what Hector's going to find out Saturday.
UFC 149 is Saturday night, and Tim Boetsch is on the line with us, taking on Hector Lombard, welcoming him, his debut in the UFC. Tim, you win this fight. Do you want Anderson next? Do you think that's going to happen? Or, I guess with the injuries that have happened to lead up to this fight, I'm not really sure I can guess what would happen. But is that what you want next, or do you think they're going to give you one more fight before you get to that point?
I want a title shot next, but I'll take whatever they give me. I think part of being the best fighter in the world means you have to beat everybody. So I'm willing to take on whoever they put in front of me, and eventually, if you beat enough people, you're going to find your way to that title.
Absolutely. UFC 149, it is Saturday night on pay-per-view. Going to be an amazing fight. Tim Boetsch taking on Hector Lombard. I know you're busy with press, my friend, so I will let you go. I cannot wait to see this fight. Love to see you back in the octagon, and love to see your hand raised on Saturday night.
Absolutely. I appreciate that very much, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Take care, my friend.